All right, thank you. So thank you again for joining me. And I was talking about my mentor, and I'm going to connect everything. I said my mentor is 60. I have three mentors. The first one is 67. Um, he started speaking at 5:40. He's a billionaire. But it's not just about billionaire. Let me just fascinate your mind. So he generates his income, the income on his investments averages about 500 million naira every year from his estimates. Let me explain. You know, some of you have piggy vest. Money in your piggy vest, they pay you something. So I was saying that I was explaining his net worth, and I said he told me that the income on his investments is about $250,000 every year. It's not the money he has in savings or investments. It is the money he receives on his cumulative investments. So, where I'm going with this is that is how wealthy he is. Okay. So coincidentally, I had a meeting between him and my second mentor. So they were talking and they said some very fascinating things. And please, this is very important. These sessions are very, very important and they're designed for the mind. He said they were talking and they were gisting and they said they remembered growing up in Yaba in Lagos. The second one is a lady, or is a woman, I beg your pardon, an elderly woman. She's also in her late 60s, like 67, 60, I think 66 or 67. So she says that, listen to what she said. She said, while growing up, there were two libraries in Yaba, the British Library and the American Library. My mentor, the male, said when they go to the library every day, him and his older brother, who came to Nigeria and I met some few days ago, he's based in the US as a prof. Somebody saying they can't hear. Is everything all right? Can anybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Okay, some people are saying they can't hear, so I guess it's from their end. All right, so as I was saying, British Library, American Library. Okay. Now, my mentor says that him and his brother would leave their houses in the morning at 10 o'clock. Library opens at 10. They open the library and he says they are there until the library is shut down at 7 p.m. Please, I need you guys to follow me. I'm going to say some very important things. 7 p.m. Now, as if that's not enough. He said, while in the library, in 1973, 72, 73, as teenagers, he started reading the Economist magazine. The Economist magazine is one of the most sophisticated magazines, right? Among magazines. They are written by elite writers. The articles, the research is that stuff made for presidents. It is the same magazine that presidents read. Very important, distinguished decision makers, people that make decisions that affect you and me. He was reading Newsweek. Newsweek is another elite one. Since 1973, he said he started subscribing till date. I was in his library. He has two libraries, and he showed me. My other mentor, the lady or the woman, she also in her 60s. In her own case, she said she'll sit down. What they did growing up, she'll sit down with her father and her siblings, and they will be reading books and they'll be discussing books. Now, I don't know, one of my struggles is I struggle to explain to young people what I know and have seen works. And because we live in a generation where the noise is loud, I have observed that with the quality of our education, exposure, social media, and everything, I am not sure, or this is my opinion, there's a larger number of people that are demonstrating a higher level of ignorance, right? When you compare it to the available information that they have. So this inspired me, and these two mentors I'm talking about, if they speak English, if they articulate things if they go through documents that even me writes, even I write at my age and my exposure and everything, I am blown away. We were in a meeting yesterday, actually on Saturday with one of them, because I'm actually very close to them. I actually hang around with my mentors a lot. That's what people don't understand. People talk about mantles. For those who know what that means, mantles are not only in spiritual things. Mantles are also in corporate things, and that's what people don't know. So some of us are hanging around ordinary people. Well, I call them ordinary people, laymen that have heavy mantles. How can you sit down with somebody that's reading The Economist from 1974 and he tells you something and you want to argue? Do you understand the wealth of wisdom? That's not the only magazine he subscribes to. Well over 5,000 books read, from biographies to fantastic, all books read, working as a, and the funny thing is he's not on social media. He's not quiet life. I go and see him in his house, in his study, accessible, no crowd, no air, nothing. He's not even a clergyman. All right. Now, I see that's not enough. Let me land my point. So, and please follow me. I'm going somewhere. So, as she was Saturday in a meeting, and then my mentor was trying to explain his story. She now said, when the young man did this, that, she now said, and I was befuddled. Listen, befuddled. And I said, yay. And I said, stop, what was that? Now, I'm supposed to not speak English, right? But when people talk and say, I don't have the words to describe it, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma. And I'm sorry, don't be offended. Me, I'm a very practical speaker. I'm not controversial like that anymore, but at least the problem is not, it's your vocabulary. She says, I was befuddled. Now, if you're in a meeting with important people and you say befuddled, you're trying to explain something, you say, I looked at that guy and I was befuddled. There's a way they will put you on one side. But the thing is that, how do you, over the years, and then she now read one passage for me and explain how words are like wind, you can glide on them. But that has come from years of reading. Now, while most of you know that reading is good and reading is important, the thing I'm here to tell you this morning or this evening, I beg your pardon, is that there is a major gap in our generation with respect to how we learn and develop. And that is what I'm here to tell you today. So all that long story I told you this afternoon or this evening is to explain to you the power of personal development. I just told you now that this guy's investments, I told you someone had piggy vest. I mean, how much is coming back? Maybe 50K, 25K, 100K at the end of the day, depending on how much you have. His own $250,000. Do the math. Now, I'm not saying reading made him rich. I mean, I have never seen a person that reads that is poor. Like, poor means you can't afford your means. They are poor. Well, even if they are poor for other reasons. Okay, they are poor for other reasons. There's a client I have, and this is where my wealth of experience starts to play. Listen to what my client told me. I met this guy. The client, when he got married, he was so broke. When he got married in this Lagos, he was so broke that him and his wife could not afford to live in the same house. You don't understand. You just got married, but because you guys can't afford rent to pay for house, wife, go and stay with your friend. Husband, go and stay with your own friend. We'll meet on Sundays, go to church, come back, spend the night, and then we'll go back, resume back to our squatters, to our squatting joints. He used to hawk books in Molue. So one of those books you sell, all the motivational books, you're hawking them. But he read those books. The last time I checked, he owned a factory in Ogun State. Factory in Ogun State. Ladies and gentlemen, books are important, but there's a danger under the sun in our generation that young people do not know how to organize their library. And even the ones that are excited and want to learn are confused. So while they are trying hard, and they have a lot of time and money and resources, they're not hitting the appropriate, they're not hitting the right notes. Right? And because they're not hitting the right notes, they are unable to make sense of what they're doing. So what do you mean, Emmanuel? I'll tell you more. All right? Please follow me. So let's begin because I'm going to be very practical. Please follow me. Danger number one, there is too much information. There's what? Too much information in our generation. I will give you one example, and I'm holding my laptop, I'm going through so you see the practical class. So here, listen to what is about to be shown. This is Apple Podcasts. Listen to what they said. Endless topics, endless engaging. Explore an incredibly diverse collection of entertaining and innovative podcasts. Dive deep into what interests you most, from insightful interviews to groundbreaking series, and enjoy it on all platform designed for all listeners and creators. Now, this is what I was looking for. Millions of podcasts. Please, I need you to understand this. Millions of podcasts. Millions of podcasts. Millions of podcasts. Millions of podcasts. All at the cost of your data. That's all. That your 2K, 3K data, that is what it costs. And for those who enjoy free internet, your luck. Let me move further. Please follow me so that you understand where I'm going. Now, there's something I reluctantly want to do, right? But I'm going to open up my private library, my private YouTube library. I use YouTube. I'm one of the, well, I won't say I'm one of the few people, but you would imagine that I use premium YouTube, right? Because I can't stand the adverts and distractions. So I just pay for it. It's not that expensive. Okay. I'm just opening up. I'm going somewhere, guys. I want to show you where the problem is, and I hope that today we'll be able to get to somewhere because it looks like we'll not be able to finish today again. But if you're enjoying listening to me every time, every Thursday, please feel free, come around. This will be open-ended until further notice, until all of you land your dream jobs and your dream roles. This will be your place of fellowship for intellectual communion. All right. So listen, this is BBC, and as soon as I opened it, this is my YouTube. I'm coming there. This is Apple Podcast. Apple Podcast is on my phone, but I'll show you my private one. I just wanted to show you what they said. So it's not me telling you. Now, for goodness sake, you're on this call, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're fascinated like me. How can you and you have a million podcasts on our phone? Let me tell you what I mean. I have a small secret. Sam Altman, the founder of Chat, the founder of, one of the co-founders of OpenAI, the companies that made ChatGPT, is coming to Nigeria. If I told you, okay, what if I told you guys I had a free seat and I will give one free seat to somebody for a private dinner, right? As per Kryptr. But it will cost you 100 grand. It's supposed to be 500K, but you need to bring 500. We'll pay the 400 for you. How many of you raise your hand are willing to go and look for 100,000 to attend that interview? Please, I'm serious. And you guys may not know, I may have it. So I told them, Yebi, you're supposed to announce that we're going to start giving giveaways now. I want to know how many people, I have some friends on the call, apparently. Anyway, I'm just interested. Thank you very much. I can see some people send me private. They're not even sending me chats on the group. They're sending me chats in my WhatsApp to tell me that, okay, we know you from where you're coming from. So don't come and bamboozle us with BBC News. No problem. I'm fascinated. Thank you for joining. And I'm sure they're laughing. And that's to make you laugh too. So who's interested? Please, just anybody. You go and borrow 100,000 naira. And to be in the room with Sam Altman. Okay. I'm seeing your chats. No problem. Don't worry. Thank you. Now, here is the trick. Please, this is important. Sam Altman is not going to come and tell you anything significantly different from what he's saying here. Sam Altman is going to come and tell you the same blessed thing he has said on all his videos on YouTube. In fact, you have a better chance of learning more from him from YouTube than from learning from him in the room. You know how the environment will be. He can't be distracted, focus on mosquitoes, all kinds of excuses. Where am I going? There is something our generation is missing when it comes to intellectual wisdom. That because we have millions. Now, I showed you Apple Podcasts, all right? 1 million. I'm going to show you my private one, okay? You can go and see, all right? Let's go to Audible. Audible I cannot describe the value of Audible. I can't describe it. I can't. But let me show you my own private library. Please follow me. I'm going somewhere and I'm going to land the point. I'm just opening your head. Okay? Now, this is my private library. And this is all. In my private library, I have 147 books. I have two credits. So credit gets you a book every month. It is now very expensive because of the dollar. It used to cost like 7 grand, 7,000 naira, but now it costs me almost 30,000 naira or something every month now because of the dollar. Yes, painful, right? By the way, Audible has its own podcast too. I forgot to mention that is catching up with Apple because in its own, it has more originals. So if you like crime, investigation, or love stories, there's stuff to knock you off to sleep at night. But let me just browse through my own, right? Just to, I'm going somewhere. Stuff you should know. It's a podcast. Slow Productivity, a very fascinating book. Audible, George Orwell's 1984, an Audible original. This is the advert that got Apple, out there and all that. The 10 HBRs reads on strategic marketing, must read series. Okay, the Bible, Core Economics, a radical thinking of way to fight global poverty. This one is for my future. I'm going to be, when I'm done with Kryptr, I'm going to do maybe development economics. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Some people have accomplished something in their lives. You need to go and sit down and listen to them. This guy fascinates me. Build an unorthodox guide to making things worth making. This book is recommended for every young person. Tony Fidel, brilliant man. Brilliant man. He was in Nigeria, but I mean, for some reason, I was invited, but I didn't get the invite by email. So, but he was in Nigeria, Tony Fidel. He worked with Steve Jobs personally. Masters of Scale. This is a podcast. I have it on Apple, but it is my second book. I'm going somewhere. The page, so I bought this one. I didn't really finish. I didn't like it. LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is grossly understated, right? And I just wanted to know how better because I don't really believe in, Nigeria is filled with profile and I don't know how to describe it. The meeting I'm just coming from now is a very important client, probably in her 60s or early 60s, brilliant woman, very exposed, very educated, very wealthy, very sophisticated. And she was sharing her personal challenges in business and all that. And we were just talking about it. But I could understand the privilege of being in the room and being able to advise her. Where did you learn that, Emmanuel? What gives you the temerity? Yes, there is a lot of grace, I must tell you, to be honest, because these things are gifts. But there is also knowing your onions, which is some of the secrets I'm sharing. Because when I sit down with young people, I feel like we're wasting away. We're wasting away. I asked her, what's your budget for a general manager? She said, I don't have a budget. I will pay for value. And she's going through, I'm looking for the right words. I don't want to use aggressive words like hell, but she's going through a lot just finding a general manager. What are young people doing? I mean, I don't want to get into my level because I'm supposed, this is a control session. I don't want to be queried by my colleagues after this workshop. So I'm controlling myself because I'm learning to have self-control, not to get upset. But young people, you need to listen to the things I'm teaching you. I was talking about my mentors and their libraries. I was going somewhere. I can't call their names, but I'll invite them one of these days to podcast when we start. Those guys are geniuses. At 60, late 60s, they're sharp. They pick things up quickly. And then I'm now working with some 25-year-old and I'm shaking my head. I'm like, did you know that David killed Goliath at 16? Ah! Sorry. David and Goliath. Malcolm Gladwell. You can read the book. LinkedIn. World War II. I picked this one, but I don't think I'm going to listen. Now, there's a mix. I'm going somewhere. The 4 cornerstones of corporate finance. There's a reason. Boston Consulting Group on strategy. Trajectory. I'm showing my private library and I'm going somewhere. Okay. Trajectory, startup, ideation, blah. How Asia works. This is for future about failure of world's most dynamic regions. Cognitive behavioral therapy to reading your brain. How to change. This one I read it last year, New Year. Brilliant book. Amazing book. Brilliant author. Some of you, ah, do you know somebody can sit down? You know all these things you go and do masters in all these universities. You can do a master's and your thesis is the science of hiring domestic staff. You study them and you write a theory that explains how to hire a driver, a nanny, based on your age in life, where you are and what you need. How to conduct interviews. You sell it. So you tell them the interview guide to check that if these 5 questions are wrong, the lady is likely a witch. I mean, I'm just joking. There's nothing like that. This is intellectual stuff. There's no superstition here. Do you understand? So, but how do you come into that kind of, when you read a book like How to Change and you see the brilliant sociologist that was employed by Google to come and help their staff learn how to live and work better. And she's telling you the kind of research she did. No, now. No. No. Law school for everyone. Thinking in systems. Brilliant. This one, the author died before she finished the book. So some people now published it. But it's brilliant for systems thinking. Let me go one more page. I hope you guys are enjoying this session. Okay, somebody said my mind is expounding or exploding. This is me in my, this is what, 5 o'clock. You can ask my colleague. I'm in my weak state. This is not like my element. I'm tired already. I want to go and sleep. Right? This is not me. So just manage. And I'm not also blowing my horns. Just to let you know there's more. Be your future self. This is not my book, but I mean my wife downloaded this one clearly. The cold start problem. Using network effects to scale your product. This is my book. When I say this one, this is my textbook. Crashes, and I can go on and on and on and on. 100 and modern warfare, intelligence and deterrence, the technologies that are transforming them, the economists. You know, why do you have this kind of book? There's a reason. European Union, there's a reason. I'm not a local champion. I'm not designed to. Nigeria is not my primary place of assignment. It's where I live. So if I'm preparing myself for a global, I just told you guys last week that I moderated an AI conference where you had the US ambassador and some people from Washington. These are people that sit on the same table, the president, probably having conversations. And what kind of jokes would I crack? What kind of, you think he's come and be doing basket mouth with all due respect to him? You can't do that kind of thing. They may laugh, but that's not the environment for that. When you're using your jokes about AI, you have to know where you're picking from without offending people in the room. You have different races, different tribes, religions. What kind of exposure? And that's what people lack when it comes to engagement and conversation. When you sit on a plane with a very rich man who can become your destiny helper, let me speak your language, right? The question is, or our language, the question is, how do you get his attention? How does he think? Do you know that when people speak to you and you sound intelligent, this is important, and I'll prove it. When people speak to you and you sound intelligent and your intonations and references are related to things they can relate with. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm talking to someone so I'm sitting on the plane and I'm talking to someone from Mexico, and I'm able to talk about the incidents where some teachers in Mexico on their way somewhere were ambushed and killed and buried. And I could reference because I listen to BBC podcast and I know about the story. And the guy hears me and he says, I'm on my way to Nigeria to go and look for a lawyer. And he says, I will get you a lawyer. Or I'm the lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to bid for any project. They will trust you. If Pharaoh, as evil as Pharaoh is, as wicked as, Pharaoh is a god, could listen to a detestable Hebrew boy and say, oh boy, this is your intelligence. This thing you have said. Without asking questions, without due diligence, without background check, whether he's truly a rapist, would give you a job instantly because he heard your intelligence and your display of wisdom. You think that is not still common now in this generation of democracy? No, some of us are joking. Economists, making sense of modern economy, marketing, managing talent, 7 steps to make makeover. That's not my book. The story of medieval England, that's my book for sleeping. A fatherless people, a secret story of how Nigerians missed the road to promised land, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Ray Dalio, brilliant. Ray Dalio is another author that I love, and so on and so forth. Now let me pause here and go to there's one last thing. All right. Now I've finished explaining all this because I need to time my points. My cutoff time, I think, is about 6:20. So I need to have about 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me, please. Now I went through this to go with your mind. Now, your first thing in your head is that, okay, I'm confused, Emmanuel. There are too many books here. Where do I begin from? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm started sharing the secrets. Secret number 1, your personal development library has to be first tied to a set of objectives. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a founder of a startup. And I don't take this off so that I don't distract you, so you see my face. I'm a founder of a startup. I have a consulting practice that we've done for like 16 years now. I know for 8 years, even though I've been practicing for 16. And that is still important, but it's sort of morphed into some strategy that I can't get into now. My primary focus now is the startup Kryptr, which is why you're here. Now on Kryptr, as a founder, I'm a very unique founder because I'm an experienced founder. I'm not some 27-year-old boy that left university a few years ago, and I'm like, what? I'm a bit older. So, and I've worked with people, I've advised clients, I'm still advising them. So the kind of unlearning I have to go through is different from the one that a fresh boy would go through. All right. You can't sit down, I'm talking corporate finance and lose me in the room. I would understand what you're talking about. Now, here is the thing. This is important. I'm a bit different from most of you, especially those that have 9 to 5, but I would try. My personal development plan is that number one, I am supposed to deliver a company that has attained product market fit by the end of 2024. If you don't know what that means, you can Google it. Product market fit by December 2024. That is my career priority. Let me repeat. My career priority is to deliver a company that has achieved product market fit by the December 31st, 2024. All order. I mean, considering the time left, considering how far we've come. Secondly, and so you're here because you're part of the people where we take us to product market fit. Number two, no, no number. That's number one. So the first thing is you need a central career goal. If you're a business owner here, you need to know where your company needs to be at a certain time. When you do, then you set it. Let's talk to employees. One of the most dangerous things for a 9 to 5er is to disconnect your learning from that of your employer's goals. So here's the secret, guys. Secret number one: connect your learning to the goals of your employer. Then you'll be in the star in the room. There's some things I cannot see here because I'll be bragging and it will sound too boastful. I don't know how to describe it. Like, there are private things that happen to me that I can't even tell people. I have more adoration and more admiration from people that are way ahead of me than from people that are younger than me. Well, maybe I don't know the people. The people younger than me are, it's like this. Some don't like me. The ones above me are the ones. Why? I tell you why. Some of the things I'm saying. So you're in this call. What is your employer's single most important focus for this year? Two, what is your contribution to that goal? Once you establish the connection between your own aspirations, I take that back. Once you connect to your employer's goals, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first tick to a promotion, whether within the organization or outside the organization. Here is the problem that happens. People listen to people like me and they get confused. So because you saw a few books that I scrolled through, you just randomly start buying them and picking them. And so you walk into a library and you don't really understand the thought around what book you should buy. So the books I'm reading now, listen to me on Audible. I'm picking my words carefully. Books. I'm coming to podcasts. Are all the books that will guarantee or teach me or contribute to my journey for product market fit. So while I have over 147 books, most of them were bought because I have credits and I can keep them. And I can read randomly or make references depending on what I'm going through at that time, or what I'm dealing with. My primary books are product market fit books. That said, let me now open my private library on my phone and show you what books I'm reading. Please, ladies and gentlemen, follow me. I'm starting the practical class because I'm going to teach you how to build your library and then now tell you how to connect some things. Hope up within time. And if not, we'll have to come back again next week and try. And then if you miss it and you want to join, maybe you can listen to the recording on the platform and all the team can help you. But we need to achieve something today, all right? So please follow me. I'm sure you're learning something. So I want to share my screen. Please enable me, allow me to, let me claim host. All right, thank you. So here you go. I will be sharing my private screen. And it's important because I want to be that open. There's nothing to hide on my phone, so I'm happy to share. All right. All right. So let's do this very quickly. The only problem, I hope no message comes in. Maybe you see alert or something. Or those of you are laughing. Okay. So this is my my Audible. Okay. If you come to my library, let's scroll to wish list. No, let's go to No, let's go to, sorry, 1 second. Listen, all podcast wish list collections. Thank you. So look at my collections. My collections are Kryptr Startup July. Look at the date. I want to show you how deliberate I am. Kryptr is the name of the company. Startup. Now, I'll move the books here. These are the books that I'm allowed to read now. I can read other things, maybe to sleep or when I'm bored or something, but these are the books for my personal development. After 147, Trillion Dollar Coach, The Alliance, How Google Works, Super Founders, Working Backwards, Critical Thinking, Deep Work, Managing Projects, How are you on strategy, on platforms and ecosystem, blitz scaling, the art of negotiating the best deals, strategic thinking, managing time, think better analytically. That's not a book, it's a podcast. I also a magazine. Extreme ownership, how to be productive ninja, managing up, how blah, blah, blah. But please let me tell you the 4 books. The Lean Product Playbook, number 1. Please follow me. I'm telling you how deliberate this has to get. The Lean Product Playbook, that's number 1. Please follow me. Steve Jobs at the bottom. Can you see it? Steve Jobs, that's number 2. Now, Steve Jobs' book, I'm reading it. I've read it, I finished it once. I'm reading it again, and I'm supposed to read at least 5 times. You heard me. I'm going to read it 5 times. Some of you don't know that when they say meditate on it day and night, it literally applies in this case. The guy did something, and he really did change the world. This 3rd book is Working Backwards. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is one of the underrated or one of the under-celebrated billionaires among his peers. You know the way he says there's love, hope, and faith. The greatest of them. There is Gates, Musk, and I'm just thinking randomly, and Bezos. If you ask me, okay, maybe Musk is different, but Bezos is amazing. His mechanical genius is out of this world. For you to have built Amazon, Amazon has 2 million employees, for goodness sake. You just have how many? 10, 15, and you want to run mad. Do you understand? I mean, he's retired now and all that. He's now trying to go to space. Now, you finish Earth, you're now going to space. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wake up. This is the book side, all right? Oh, I forgot. Look at them. The books I was looking for, they're here. This is the product, fundraising, and growth. Thank you. Thank God I've already, you see, I'm living up to I forgot that I put this aside because I just go directly. I don't go through the catalog. But look at them. These are the books for product, fundraising, and growth because that's the priority. But I told you product priority now. Look at them. The pitch playbook, growth hacking, hooked, how to build habit forming products. Super Founders is what I read when I'm tired, I feel discouraged sometimes, I want to sleep, or you feel the pressure of a startup and you just need somewhere to go, and you need a book to encourage you that you're not alone. You're going to read Super Founders and see what they went through, right? Then the cold start problem. These guys are the guys that built Uber, and explain how the cold start is when you have to start the driver side and start the rider side at the same time and achieve equilibrium. Because if there are no riders, there won't be drivers, and there are no drivers, there won't be riders. Brilliant. Then the product link book I told about, the Masters of Scale, then the others. All right. These are the books. But what are you reading now, Emmanuel? Because I've not been paying attention to Audible. There's a reason, I'll tell you why. Right. The books I'm prioritizing now is Working Backwards, Product Link book, and the Cold Start Problem. Those are my 3 priorities now. Please follow me. Follow me. Now let's go to the podcast. Now, this is the one that I'm very consistent. Please follow me. Now, on my podcast, this is my library. Now, I told you there are a million podcasts. Some people use Audible podcasts. Some people use this is my podcast. I have BBC Global Podcast. I have Masters of Scale. I have World Business Report. I have Y Combinator, and then I have the Pioneers of AI. Now, I need to explain the thinking behind all these books because I have an explanation to give you. Please follow me. Every day is Global News Podcast. I told some of you had this call, you received the information already. Secondly, is the World Business Report. When I have finished Global Business Podcast, and I'm going to be going home soon after this meeting, I'm in the office, I'll just listen to it on the way home. I now read World Business Report. World Business Report is second, right? And can see the first report. The OpenAI's value almost doubles by 1.7 billion. Wow, that's a very interesting news. I want to listen. I want to understand. Okay, please follow me. Now, this one, This one, I will use my words carefully. This one is my startup Bible. Let me explain. This Masters of Scale is my startup Bible. It has 500 episodes. Look at it. 507 episodes. I'm going to listen to all of them, and some of them I'll listen to as much as 5 times. Listen, I'm going to listen to some of the podcast as much as 5 times. So if you notice, I'm not about breadth. It's not about too many books. I know you saw a lot, but the reason why I bought the books is because I have a credit every month. So I'm just storing up the books. And I believe there's going to be a time in my life when I'm going to have a lot of time to read books. So I'm just storing my library. The books are mine forever, according to Amazon, right? So, according to Audiobooks, this one is the one that I must read. This is my startup Bible. So as an employer or as a startup, whatever you're doing, there are some books that are literally like your Bible, where you have to read them every day. I'm showing you some deep secrets. Please follow me. So the problem is that people don't have any organized library. It's anyhow, anywhere. So they're not building anything. And I'm going to say something for those of you who follow clergymen. I don't, there are 2 or 3 of them that are reigning now, and I won't mention them. You can figure it out. They are young, they're in their 40s. Some of you know them. And when I'm listening to some of them, I see the way some of you are fascinated by them. I know they've also they've not emphasized, and I'll say it for those of you who know them, they've de-emphasized the intellectual side of our faith. And I think they haven't tried. They don't. Now, I know we're not supposed to lean on our understanding, right? We're not supposed to lean on our understanding. I am on the same page too. I don't lean on my understanding. But ladies and gentlemen, there's some things that are basic. It doesn't even need any spiritual intervention. And one of them is reading books. Those men and women are sound because I hear the books they read, and I know they're well read. They're well learned. They pray, they do other things, but they're extremely well learned. But we now have a lot of young people who are not reading. And I don't have the words to describe, like my mentor. I'm befuddled. Yes. I don't have the words to describe it's not danger. It's not abuse. It's not disservice. I'm looking for a word that is not offensive, but communicates a high sense of ignorance. 1 million podcasts. 1 million podcasts. They said million. Why did I add AI? I added it because during Masters of Scale, they interviewed a young lady from Egypt. You see, when I hear stories like a young lady came to America from Egypt, she's a single mother, has become an investor and a multi-millionaire. Worked within the ranks, grew up within the ranks, delivered. She delivered where she worked, popped, bam. She was talking to Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman, by the way, is my icon. When they say, who do you want to meet in your life? Like, who do you want to meet? If you want to know, if you want to do me, if you want to make me happy, go and connect me with Reid Hoffman. If you can, I dare you. Okay, that's the prayer point. Okay, for those who want to know what to pray for me, I want to meet Reid Hoffman. I want someone to sit down with me on a table for 2 hours and we talk about my business and my plans. He doesn't even need to invest. Reid Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn and partner at Greylock. He's one of the geniuses in Silicon Valley. People don't know him. You see, people that know Asabi, you don't know them. Don't worry. Let's leave it. That's why you have to look for them, because they're hidden. He's a board member of Microsoft, but he's part of the reasons why OpenAI is where it is today. He was one of the first people to move on it and explain it. He's the kind of guy that the likes of Elon Musk will probably go to at night. Say Nicodemus went to someone at night, that kind of person. Then there's Y Combinator. Y Combinator is my second Bible. All right, there are 2. Or if Masters of Scale is the daily devotional, Y Combinator is the Bible. Whichever way. But where am I going? That one, I have to chew it. This one, I don't have a choice. I have to chew it. And all episodes must be watched more than once. All. Masters of Scale, there are some I'll just listen to once. But this one, minimum of 2. The other one, Churchianity, don't worry, I put it there. It's like a lullaby for me. When I want to sleep and I want to hear the history of the church and some things that happened and how we got to where we are today, it's a very interesting podcast by some people from, the time Jesus died to when, blah, 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 Augustine's, and very interesting. So it's history, but that's to sleep. When I don't feel like listening to anything, I just want to sleep. That's what I listen to. So the pioneers of AI joined recently because we're moving to an AI world. And I realized that if I don't have an AI strategy as a founder, then I have a huge risk at stake. I'm going to be rounding up in 5 minutes now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me time my points. I mean, I didn't plan to go this way, but I hope you learned something. I have 4 sources of information. Number 1, my podcasts. Number 2, my Audible. Number 3, that's with respect to knowledge gathering. Podcast, Audible, YouTube. Podcast, Audible, YouTube. Podcast, Audible, YouTube. And number 4, my mentors. I have 3 mentors. One 67, the other 67 or 68 or 65 or 66. I can't remember the age. And then one young man that I'm older than, but runs an ed tech. 3 mentors. So it's very deliberate, it's very clear. Before I go, I cannot but show you about, I cannot but discuss YouTube with you. For YouTube, my YouTube has channels, but there's only one thing on YouTube that I generally tell all my colleagues that is compulsory, and this is it. So my YouTube has channels. It's the Arise Global Business Report. Please follow me. Arise Global Business Report. Now, Arise Global, look at the thing on top, under the name here, where my cursor is hovering. 2,600 episodes. Arise Global Business Report is the business report, is the business news for Nigeria and a bit of global. So sometimes I'm able to reconcile what's going on in BBC Global Business Report and Arise, because the stories are the same. For instance, for those of you who have been following that I've told to follow, the US East Coast and Gulf Coast shipping employees are on strike. They're on strike. And you're sitting in Nigeria, here in Lagos, Nigeria, SPG Road, Lekki. What is your business with that information? I'll tell you why. There are a lot of Nigerians that want to start exporting. I don't know what ports. Some of you are expecting cars from the US. What ports? So there's connection. So when you hear there's port delay, yes. Number 2, supply chains are broken. So people that like to shop on Amazon, there's also potential implication because they may now, some things may run out. And if it drives into the year, Christmas shopping will enter jeopardy. Now that's even a surface reason. But the bigger reason is to listen to the conversations, to listen to the undertones, and to understand the dynamics of what is involved. Now, these things I'm teaching you guys, I am the one that has sat down to establish a pattern and to see the wisdom in it. This was stuff we're doing since 2011. Now, some of you did not hear me. I had a friend in the office. He gets to the office, first things first, bbc.com, cnn.com, Time, Economist, back. He's reading. Where is he today? Big boy. Big boy. I sent something to my colleagues. Well, he's my contemporary. Yes, that makes me a big boy too. But don't worry, that's not the point. Are you following me? So, and that's a joke. But here's the thing. Google CEO was talking. What does he do first thing after taking his egg and Kiniko? Times, Wall Street Journal. They're reading news. So, young people, and I'm going to save someone's life and career today. Listen to me. Go and write it down. If you do Arise, so some Arise episodes you have to do twice. And I recommend Arise because I used to do some other ones. I used to do Business Day. But the reason why I picked this one is because some of us are too busy, which is something I wanted to talk about, but I have to talk about it shortly. And let me just do that now. Some of us are too busy and we're struggling. We can't sit down and read a book. Don't deceive yourself. But you have a long commute time. You do your makeup takes 30 minutes. You spend a lot of time in the bathroom or whatever you do. Those are sizable amounts of time. That's why I recommended audio, because you can be playing Arise, watching the video, or even doing your work, depending on what you're doing at that time, and quickly get a hang of what things and just store it. It's your storing grain for the time ahead because the journey is still far. You will sit down in a room and somebody will come and talk about mechanized agriculture, or even say the one in front of us, gaming. And as they're talking about gaming, right, your company sells software. And they're talking, and then it's okay, a client comes and says, a client is a gaming company. And then because you listen to Arise, you now sit in the room meeting and say, and you just ask 1, 2, 3 questions. And your boss looks at you and says, how do you know? You're just an early career person. You're entry level. Know that, don't worry, it's Kryptr that told me. that I must consume Arise Global Business Report every day. This is the business provides pestle, political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental information. So I don't lose. Yes, I may not be consistent in Arise because I'm quite busy, but I catch up quickly. And I've created what I call playlists. So I have playlists for AI, macroeconomics. So I put things there so that I can catch up later because I have things I do with it. But Arise is on my list. That's my YouTube content. The second one on my YouTube, apart from my spiritual edification, which I don't want to get into on this call, where I just go and store stuff. For YouTube, the second thing I use YouTube for is for Y Combinator. So YouTube, if podcast is 1 million, YouTube is 1 billion. You heard me. If podcast is 1 million, YouTube is 1 billion. Listen to me and listen well. You see this one? You see this one? I have no business with them. You heard me. So I am so organized. I know what I'm not interested in. Not now, not at the moment. Now, is there a course I'm taking on this one? Yes. One of my, well, I don't know if he's a mentor, but he's a friend and admirer. Well, not as an admirer, like, he's admiring what he's doing. He's advising me to go and watch some videos on AI, and he sent me a course that he runs an AI lab, and he says, go and listen to it. Go and listen to this course first, then we can have a conversation. So based on that, that is what is bringing me here. But some of you just randomly be checking, you just think, I like this, you just click, and that's it. You just binge, you move on. You finish. One day someone says, oh, this is so fantastic. Just come and binge. As you're finishing, your friend on Facebook that has not gotten his left from his right, he's doing a podcast. And then he expects you to join to show solidarity. The world is just swamped with information. So for me, I'm not deceived. I've told you what happens here. I have my product market fit books, and I showed you them. I showed you this one. I told you my private account, and the things, there are only 4. The other ones are either a lullaby or the one I just added, because they're not supposed to be too many. Once they are more than 3, it's already a problem. Then I showed you this one, which I said this is what I consume. So let me now summarize. Please, I'm going to tie my points now. All right. I know I overshot my runway. All right. And I'm going to tie up in 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my own. Number 1. Let me start with YouTube in front of me. Arise. This is the major thing I take from YouTube. The second one is Y Combinator. Okay? Startup school. I know what I'm looking for. 1, 2, 1, 2. The second one is this. I told you. But this one, I have my playlist, and I told you the books I'm reading. But the books, I don't read them every day. I read them intermittently, depending on what I'm working on. Then I now move to my podcast. On my podcast, Global Business Report is every day. Is every day. No, sorry, Global Business. Okay, let me just go there so that you see it. Just 1 second, because it's very important. So, because I want to tell you the ones that we both need to share, because everybody needs to have a sense of it. All right, I'm tying my points now. Hope this was helpful so that you don't lose me. This is what I was saying. This one is compulsory. This is the one out of all my sources. This is the one I listen to every day that I don't miss, and I'm most consistent with, because I need to know what's going on, and I need to be learning. And it's so rich. Why BBC? BBC is rich. By the way, BBC has a lot of podcasts, and I'll show you a few. For those of you who don't know who want to improve your English language, speaking and written, then I do this when I have time. This is my next level. So some days, especially I'm working late, I can listen to everything, right? Then this one is, they release it thankfully once every month or thereabout, or every 2 weeks. So I'm catching up gradually. I'm way behind, and I'm trying to catch up. All right. Then this one is new. They only have 2 episodes. Thankfully, I've listened to the first one, but I'm not finished. I'm going to listen again. This one is because it's the future. Now, this one is coming to replace Masters of Scale over time. Then this one is now my second one. This one is also the same one on YouTube, but depending on where I am and what I'm doing. Then lastly, this one I told you is a lullaby, so it's not part of my podcast. Don't count it. Okay. Now, when I come here, just to let you know how crazy this is, let me go to BBC, because some of you now need to know that there are books. So look at the categories. You can see, you can knock yourself out. There's news, there's business. Look at business. It's crazy. So you need to know, it's just that you have to be careful. And the secret is keep your sources few, but be consistent. You can have things you binge on once in a while, maybe you're bored, but you need the regulars. You need the ones that are like daily, and you remain consistent. BBC. Look at BBC. Look at BBC. Look at BBC. BBC learning English. Can you see that? Some of you, your English, your spoken English can be better. BBC podcasts, right? Let me click it. 53 shows. BBC is out of this world. 53 shows. Look at the ones I showed you. Look at these other ones. World Secrets, Crime Next Door, Muscle Men, The Brighton Bomb, Intrigues of Kiniko. Okay, these are new. Go down. Look at the top shows. Focus on Africa. Some of you work for bilateral organizations like UN, United European Union. You should listen to BBC Africa so that you're traveling around, your head is correct. Football, for those who like football. Business Daily is similar to the other one, but I prefer this other one. I did the research. Things Fell Apart. The Global Story. This Global Story is interesting. Curious Cases. Planet Premier League. You Are Dead to Me. I don't know what that is. Hard Talk. This one's on the Infinite Side. So, BBC is, people don't know BBC. My dad listens to BBC as a child on his radio, his transistor radio, FM, AC, Kiniko. As far back, I did not know. My dad is one of the most well-spoken men of his generation. You can't beat his 76 now. He can't beat his English. Like, I mean, when I say his choice of words, I mean, this is someone that, when I see 25, 26-year-olds mixing up their tenses, they don't know the difference between have and has. I'm embarrassed. And I'm not saying this to ridicule anyone, with all due respect. You guys, we can't continue like this. You don't know the difference between subject-verb agreement and all those minute things. No. Or you're talking and you're like, I'm not sure of the right words. When you can't throw words like my mentor before, this is where you can begin from. Now, what does this do? The reason why podcasts are just a cheat for our generation, they're just a cheat, is because they summarize so much wisdom at your doorstep. So you don't need to sit and read a book. 30 minutes and you have history, culture, science, education, all in one. Ladies and gentlemen, my time is up and I have to stop there. These webinars are Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. I will have to tell the next facilitator next week that he has to give me time to come back and finish this, because I took my time to work on your mind. And the approach I took was not slides. I opened my library and I showed you. Keep your sources few. Know what your employers require. If you're on this call, BBC Global News, this one I showed you, that global one is compulsory. If you now merge it with Arise like this, you don't need any other book and you'll be super. Let me repeat. If you take BBC, Global Business, the global one, the business one, the 30 minutes podcast, and you join in with Arise, listen to me, go and write it down and tell anybody in this country or in this world to come and challenge me. If you read only those two and you're consistent, you will sit in the room and they will think you're out of this world. It was 2017 that I read a book in my life for the first time from cover to cover. And that was when I bought Audible. Prior to that, because I'm dyslexic, I'm unable to consider and read a book. So I've never really read a book in my life. But yet people thought I was extremely smart. And they want, this guy's intelligent. I'm like, I'm not intelligent. I just found out, well, I'm intelligent by the grace of God. But I found out that if you listen to news and you understand it, and you couple it with the insights that the experts come and talk about, and you merge the two, you will be the smartest person in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.